Missed you yesterday. Doing the 25 hours. Felicia, I see you in here. Thank you very much for joining us again. There's Mr. Fontana.
You want me to bring you?
Alex, how are you, sir?
Okay.
It's surprising because I only got like 2 hours sleep. Felicia, it's rough right now. Tricky's a rough guy. I don't think Alex has his headphones in yet. And Steven has disappeared from the scene. Alexa, turn on right light.
Okay.
Oh no, I took down the green screen. Now you guys can see the mess behind me. That's not good. Still wearing my Extra Life shirt because I didn't even take it off last night. I went straight to bed. I can hear Alex. Heard the door close. There's Mr. Fontana, who doesn't have his headphones in yet, so he doesn't know that I'm talking to him.
Is everything from
Now he does. Now he has the headphones in.
You don't have to carry it downstairs. I'll carry it downstairs. Just.
But does he have it set up so he can hear me talking to him?
Well,
Oh, I could hear you.
Oh, he can hear me there. Oh, the audience can hear you now. Just
The audience.
they can hear us live on Twitch.
The audience. Oh.
Oh my lord. Are you Igor?
Igor. Igor.
I figured it was Igor because you were making a Rangers reference.
Me?
Yeah.
When did I make a Rangers reference?
You didn't donate yesterday to Extra Life?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, and you used the name Igor.
Yes.
Which I figured it was you because that was your Ranger reference. But you made it anonymous, so you were trying to hide in the shadows.
Oh, I figured it was obviously me.
Well, I put two and two together when I saw the name Igor, and then the logo was the dual screens PG logo.
He's the Bat Child. Of course, he hides in the shadows.
The Bat Child.
It's synergy, Tricky. Come on.
Ooh, Mikey Kirsch is in here. Welcome, Mikey Kirsch. How are you? Rick says, just to let you guys know, he's been to a gig tonight, and he's a little drunk because he went to like a Pink Floyd. I don't know if it was actually Pink Floyd or a tribute concert, but he was. I heard some Pink Floyd music in his live video, so he's a little drunk.
Hello,
Rick, I hope you got tomorrow off.
He says, if he says anything silly, then please don't read it out. That's not the way we roll here. You type it in the chat, it's going on the show.
Is anybody in there?
All right, so, Alex, would you grace us with your camera today so we can have a full camera show?
I don't know if I
is
can.
it just us?
No, I don't, dude. I don't want to worry about setting it up.
All right. Just know you have to have it set up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
All right, my microphone was muted. You can hear me though, right?
I can hear you.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, no,
Hello.
yeah, I don't want to have to deal with that right now.
10-4. Good buddy. I gotta bring up Audacity. Rick says it was a tribute band. He wishes it was the real Floyd. Mikey Kirsch, I'm glad you made the transition over from Bat Child's channel to Proven Gamer. I know you're just here for the Bat Child, but we appreciate you being here as well.
It's here for the dual screens hype.
Did you plug this at all or no?
I plugged it in the dual screens Discord.
Oh.
See, Steven's helping us out.
You mean the Discord that I was kicked out of?
Correct.
Somebody kicked me out, and I don't know who it was.
It's just a Patreon thing. Once you're a Patreon member, you get back in.
I am a Patreon member.
It must have lapsed.
No. Oh no! Wait! I'm not a Patreon. I'm a Twitch sub.
Yeah, that's what it is. So if you're a Patreon supporter for $1, you get Discord access.
So I have to give you $1 for you to be my friend? Is that what you're saying to me?
No. It's to be a dual screens insider, a VIP, as it were. You see?
Yeah, but see, I should get the friends and family discount of 10 cents.
You do. It's $1. It's only $12. Fine, $12 a year.
Okay. Before we start the show, let's answer a proving bot question. If you had a robot for an entire day, what would you ask it to do?
A robot?
If you had a robot for one day, what would you ask it to do? And Rick, no, it's not a sex robot, so don't go there.
Smite my enemies.
Smite his enemies. Steven?
I don't know, man. I feel like if we're going by current robotics standards, I would say I would ask for it to brew and hand deliver iced coffee to me throughout the day.
I would just say clean my house.
I mean, Steven, how much
I could do that though.
How much cold brew coffee could you drink in a day?
Do
you really need a
You
robot
don't know,
for that?
Steven.
To answer that question, I drink around 40 ounces of coffee a day. Of iced coffee a day.
All right, so like 5 8-ounce cups. Yeah.
That's about. I do 16 ounces at a time, like a 16-ounce tumbler at a time, kind of thing.
All right.
But I have it in one of those big jugs, and I keep it in my fridge.
Even in the winter, you drink cold brew.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the last time I had hot coffee. Actually, I think the last time I had hot coffee was when there was no ice machine at a reception. They were just it was like there was ice behind the bar, and it was like not a lot. So I wasn't allowed to like have scoops of ice. So I had hot coffee. It was at like a I don't know, like one of those community halls for a wedding. That was the last time I think I had hot coffee.
All right. Before we start the show proper, I mean, Steven, you already know how we start the show. Anybody that's into the chat, just know that this is a live recording of the show. We do read statements and questions from the chat. So if you want to know something or you want to throw your opinion on a certain topic that we're talking about, feel free to enter it in the chat. We will incorporate it into the show. We greatly appreciate you. Shout out to Felicia, Rick, Mikey Kirsch, and Matt Murray's in here. Joe, I think, is still in here from last night. I think he fell asleep watching the extra live stream and never turned off the page. So thank you very much, and enjoy the show. Alex, are you ready to go? Alex is not ready to go. I thought I heard him walk out. Steven, just so you know, the last time I checked the Rangers score, they were tied at 2.
Yes, I have them on directly to my left.
See, I wish I did, but I cut cable, and I refused to pay for ESPN Plus.
I cut cable as well. I have Fubo TV.
How much you pay for that?
$60 a month.
That's a lot.
It's way better than the $200 I was paying for FiOS.
Fair enough.
Way better.
I revealed this on the show last night. I pay $80 a month for. Actually, it's $70 a month because I get a $10 discount. $70 a month for a gig up and a gig down.
Yeah, that's about. I think I pay about $90 for that. Same thing. I'll send you a picture of why I like this Fubo, because you could do called Fan View, and it gives you all the stats on the side.
No, I just
I
use
could close it too, but
I just use my Fire Stick. All right, Mr. Saunders, you ready to go?
I'm here.
Batchild, are you good to go?
yeah.
All right, everybody
Ready to
hit
go.
record now.
Hold on. Let me make sure my my mic was automatically going down every now and again. Let me just make sure it's not going to go down too much. Don't be going down, piece of shit.
That's what she said.
Down, down. We're not going down. Down, down, down. Look at this screen. It's got a whole bunch of stuff on it.
We're fancier than the old people you used to know, Steven.
5 seconds of silence. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your host, Tricky Mick.
$548. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who didn't show up for my extra life stream yesterday, Alex.
And I don't know why you have to scream at everyone about it. So I'm going to be honest. I have really enjoyed all of the guests that we have talked to and had on the show. Everybody's been great. But this episode, we have back one of my favorite guest co-hosts here on Trophy Horse. A throwback to the old days.
If you're wondering who Steve is in the intro, it's Mr. Master of the Dual Screens himself, Mr. Stephen Fontana. How you doing, sir?
Woo! I am ready and willing to be the man yet again and tell everybody on the internet why I'm number one into the dual screens. Woo!
Hello, everybody. How we doing?
I'm pointing out the obvious here with the Ric Flair impression. Every time Ric Flair did that, it always sounded like he was drunk off his ass. And then when they think about Ric Flair, he probably was drunk off his ass.
Oh, yeah, he definitely was drunk.
Have you all seen the TNA kind of, I don't want to say skit, but the segment between Ric Flair and Jay Lethal where Jay Lethal does his impersonation of Ric Flair and it's spot on and it's one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen?
You can't do me.
It's being called out in the chat right now. Rick was like, "Oh my God, it's Ric Flair," even though he spelled Rick wrong. Or Jay Lethal.
Rick, I made a reference to the IT crowd on one of Rick's posts on Facebook, and before we get to the end of the show, I want Rick to confirm whether or not he's actually gone back and watched an episode, because Mark Duplex was definitely down with the IT crowd. It's a fantastic show. And Tricky, I'm going to point out that every time Steven is on,
Yes.
you always miss the obvious. Instead of Stephen Fontana, it's Stephen Fontana, because it's always a great time with Steven around.
Well, I don't.
One of my teachers called me that in high school.
Well, now I feel less cool.
Well, I mean, during the intro, I have to be proper. Once we get out of the intros, is when all the shenanigans starts. I can just
Steven,
start.
did you get made fun of because a teacher called you that?
Nah.
Good, because I would need email addresses and real addresses.
Nah, I was in too many social circles to be made fun of in high school.
Oh, he's a cool guy.
I wasn't a cool guy. I just knew enough cool people. So
But you were kind of in some situations, like you had some friends, but you you were also in other ways cool with association. By association,
I was cool.
So you knew enough friends where you were connected somehow through somebody.
Right. Like, hey, don't mess with Fontana. He's cool. He's a nice kid. He's funny. I was like, all right, cool. That's how I got through high school, basically.
And Rick has confirmed that he has not watched the IT crowd yet. He will, though. And he's saying that Ric Flair spells his name wrong. So.
Well, his name is Richard, so it's Richard Fleer.
Yes. All right, so let's give you guys an update real quick. As you guys know, I spent 25 hours streaming on the Extra Life charity stream. Guys, I'm sorry. I am exhausted. I was up for 27 hours yesterday, and I went to bed, and then I woke up to 2 teenagers just making a bunch of noise. So I've got like 2 hours sleep in the last 48 hours. So like I'm out of it. So if I make mistakes normally more than I normally do, please forgive me. Streaming 25 hours for Extra Life. Personally, I raised over $1,000. Our team has raised over $1,500. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I will be calculating everybody that donated the $5 for God of War. I have to figure out how many entries and all that stuff. Everybody's subs, bits, donations, everything, all money brought in yesterday is going to go to the charity, so that's going to get added to the $1,000. So I thank you very much. Everybody that joined us in that stream, Felicia was like a rock at the end. The last 3 hours of the show, I don't know if much gaming went on because we had like a whole bunch of conversations. Daryl joined the chat, and when Daryl joins the chat, it's it never turns out well. So, so thank you very much, everybody, for doing that. Last time I checked, Extra Life. You know what? Let me just double check now. Give me 1 second, Rick. It's okay, buddy. You were checking out Pink Floyd, and that's a little bit more important. Extra Life. The last update was $9.1 million, which is very impressive.
Sweet nectar.
And obviously, you guys know that the money it can be donated up to December 31st. Everybody that hasn't been donated online yet, all that money's going to get sent in. So we're going to have a bigger total towards the end. But thanks again, everybody. You guys know that Extra Life is near and dear to my heart. It's my 14th year doing it. But Steven and Alex, I have to be honest. 25 hours yesterday kind of broke me, and I don't know that I can do the 25 hours next year. I'm becoming an old man.
You say that until it comes around. Then you get too excited.
I'm an old man.
You'll be fine.
Well,
you had extenuating circumstances because you just got like a weird schedule and everything like that recently. So your whole body was in shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally I work from 7 at night to 3 in the morning. So waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning to start 25 hours, that's a little rough. So, Alex, you were going to say something, sir. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, just conserve all your energy for the year. You know how some people don't eat and kind of starve themselves going up to a big meal, like a buffet or an eating competition, so they can eat more. Just, save all your energy up for go on a big old sleeping spree so you can save your energy up for Extra Life.
I will tell you, I was on vacation for the last week, and I've gotten smarter over the years to go on vacation the week before Extra Life so I can actually rest up and I'm not getting off work at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was so sleep deprived leading up to starting that week off that I went to bed at 8 o'clock at night, and I didn't get out of bed until 6 p.m. the next day. I was out. I slept for 22 straight hours.
You know what never sleeps? PlayStation.
You just want us to go on with the show, don't you?
I very much so, yes.
I missed you, Steven. All right, let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 683, total trophies of 16,900. Nice even number there. With a plat count of 375. Yes, I earned a platinum yesterday. Alex, what about you, sir?
I am level 464 with a total trophy count of 8,160 with a platinum count of 131 in 130 games.
Yeah, we talked shit about that yesterday, just so you know. Steven.
Wait. Talk shit about what?
Your fake plat count.
What do you mean by fake plat count? I'm being honest.
No, you got 131 plats. Yield is level 482, total trophies of 8888. Yes, he stopped purposely on there just to have that monument with 159 plats. Sid is level 785, total trophies of 20,091 with a plat count of 616.
That's insane.
Well, I mean, I kind of helped him get there.
I don't care. That's insane. I'm level 301, trophy count of 2764 and 11 platinums. Woo! I'm not a platinum hunter, folks. It's not my thing.
Question here from the chat, Steven. So Steven needs to explain his plats to me. He earned 5 of his 11 over a week and then spread the other 6 over 7 years. What the hell happened in that week?
That was when we had a wager going. It was when I was doing trophy horrors more consistently, and we had a weird contest going. So I went and found as many of those dumbass things I could do. Like I don't like doing the cheap ones, but I think I have like 1 or 2 cheap ones. I think I Am Mayo is one of them.
Square Boy's
but
another one.
Square Boy was you still had an issue with Square Boy. So I want to hear it.
I still don't have Square Boy.
Square Boy was not that easy, okay?
I'm not saying it was easy. That's why I don't have it.
But yeah, the other ones were games that I liked that I just played, so it was fine. Like those Telltale games are easy platinums. You just got to play the game. So, before those games became unplayable, I was getting all of those as well. But I'm not a platinum chaser, so.
Rick says I'm platinum through Sid this year. You're absolutely right. And Rick says that week was a trophy war casualty.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. So what we're playing, Steven, we'll start with you, sir. What have you been playing, sir?
Oh man, I have been playing. So dual screens, for those who don't know what dual screens is, we have pretty much shifted to be 100% indie game coverage. So a lot of what I've been doing is indie game related, and I actually played a game called Paper Cut Mansion. It is available on consoles, I believe. I played it on Steam. I know it's on the console that will remain nameless. Here's console gaming.
You can say Xbox
Pass.
You can say
it's on Game Pass, so it's also there. So I assume it's on other consoles as well. Former guest of the show, we interviewed indie developers on the Dual Screens podcast. We're well over 300 interviews at this point. We're actually approaching like 350 at this point. But they were former guests, and their game came out just before Halloween. So I jumped in there, and it's a really, really cool game. It is a roguelite action adventure game where everything is made of paper, and the way that developers made the art is they actually hand drew everything on paper and then scanned the paper into the 3D program, and then actually cut the 2D paper drawings and then folded them in the game software and made 3D models out of their 2D drawings. Everything is hand drawn in the game, and it is so much fun. It is a little bit horror vibes. You're a former detective who doesn't know how he wound up in this weird world, and there's a mansion, and there's these rifts that could take you to 3 different basically parallel worlds of that mansion. One of them is the investigative one, where you're going around looking for clues. The other one is the more action-oriented one, where there's a bunch of things trying to kill you, and you're shooting and all that stuff and you basically are killing them to like get gold, and there's other objectives that you can only do in each one of the worlds. And the other one is this like cold world where there are certain puzzles that you can only do in that world, and you're constantly taking health damage as you're in that world. So you're constantly bouncing between them to try and get to this special door that has a special requirement to open it to get to the next level. And then you'll get through that door, and then you'll be able to get to a trap door, which brings you on to the next level. And each playthrough, you pick up different weapons, different items. All of the puzzle is in a different spot. But what you do end up keeping each run is the clues as to how you died and why you're in this world. So as you're playing, you're unlocking this mystery. And it's so superb. Like I can't even, it's such a unique idea, and it's so superbly artfully crafted that it was actually kind of, it was hard to even fathom it was like what I was actually playing. Highly recommend that one. But that's basically that's probably the most recent. I'll flip through my list as we're going around the horn to see if something else pops into my head.
All right, Alex.
Basically just cleaning up Darksiders 2 a little bit more. I gotta say, going back and getting that's kind of one of those things that I didn't like about this game. And when I originally played it, I talked about how bloated it was compared to the first Darksiders, which I think is excellent. Darksiders 2, there's a ton of collectibles, and going back and getting all those collectibles that apparently don't carry over if you do a New Game Plus, so you got to find them all over again. Really annoying. good game. Just the collectibles, they have way too many in there, and they would have benefited from not having so many in there. But I think that Darksiders 2 is kind of the layout, not exactly, I mean, I expect it to be bigger, but the layout I kind of want for Breath of the Wild 2. And that, I mean, I want a marriage of Breath of the Wild with the more classic dungeon structure of Zelda. So with Darksiders, you have 4 kind of open world sandbox areas, and within each one of those, you have a bunch of different dungeons. So I want a more open world game, but with more dungeons. So fewer shrines, cut the shrines in like a third, and do more classic Zelda dungeons. So if Darksiders 2, I'm not as happy with that as the first one, but I think if Darksiders 2 could be more, or Breath of the Wild 2 could be more like Darksiders 2, then I would be willing to buy it, whereas Breath of the Wild I completely skipped over. You can't give me a Zelda game with crappy dungeons and crappy bosses and expect me to, get on board. So if Breath of the Wild is more like Darksiders 2, then I will likely buy it and play it.
All right, Steven, question from the chat. Rick wants to know how Fallout 76 compared to 3, New Vegas, and 4.
So I started playing 76 on a whim. I just had that itch, and I knew that the game was out long enough, and it's free to play and everything like that. So Fallout 76 is actually in a really good place right now. It plays a lot more like a single-player Fallout game with friends than I know it did at launch, and that I really thought it would. Very, very interesting and story going on and world being built around there. It is very similar to what you would think of, of playing a Fallout. It's more similar to classic Fallout than you would think. The other cool thing is that, and they added this a couple of years ago, I think, they have the Fallout First, which is their monthly subscription, which gets you like regular loot box crap, but it also lets you have a private server, which really helps when you want to play with just your friends and not have your shit stolen by other NPCs. And I've been playing it that way and really enjoying it. It's really easy to get into, to just explore the world like you would a Fallout game. Don't let me, steer you the wrong way. If you like just the single player Fallout experience, this is not a single player Fallout experience. It's just very close to it if you're willing to put up with player characters running around and possibly killing you, robbing you. You can turn pacifism on, where you have to accept a fight in order to get into one with other people. But that doesn't mean they can't go into your base and take your items from you. So if you're okay with that kind of situation, it's definitely a lot of fun. But I recommend, get either paying for the first so you can have your own private server where it's basically just playing a single player Fallout game that has a ton of options, cosmetics, all that fun stuff that you would get from a normal MMO. But yeah, I was playing that for a little while there as well, leveling up my character and just having fun with my cousin running around in the wasteland. So it's really fun to play a multiplayer Fallout game. I just kind of wish it didn't have the other players randomly stealing your crap or nuking your base because they feel like it. But everything else works pretty well, and I've never felt like there was an egregious gotcha mechanic or anything like that.
All right, he says it might be time for him to jump in on a private server, so thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get in. Oh wait, excuse me, I didn't tell you what I was playing. I got the platinum in Gotham Knights last night. Thank you again for Felicia for pushing me to get that, because I was really struggling to grind that last bit part out. I played Division 2, got to finish up some more. I got to earn like 12 more levels to get all the keys I need for the event by tomorrow night at 3 a.m. And I started to play New Tales from the Borderlands, but I played for like 2 minutes and I was like, nope, go back to Division, because I didn't want. I did it at the end of my stream, so I was like, I don't want to get too involved in this because I'm half asleep, don't want to miss the story. And if it plays like the Telltale games, like you need to pay attention to the story to know what decisions to make and stuff like that. And I was kind of fading, so I didn't really give that too much of a shot.
I got to say that as much as I love the first game, Ashley had kind of like, we were surprised at when I'm sure it was the release date was mentioned at some point, but I had forgotten that game was coming out until Ashley had mentioned, oh, hey, it's out. And then we saw that the reviews for it are kind of like in the middle ground. So, I mean, I want to play it to see how it, well, I don't know. given the fact that they're not continuing the story from the first one and the characters from the first one are not involved, like kind of middle ground review scores don't really help it in my case. I mean, I'm sure we'll get around to playing it, but it's not something that is like, if it was like, hey, this is a continuation of what was before, then oh sure, great, I'd play it probably before God of War, Pokemon, but now it's kind of in the backseat just because of some of the decisions they made post Telltale.
Yeah, according to Rick, it's apparently a lot of playthroughs for the plat, and it's an ultra rare at the moment on PSN profiles. So it doesn't sound like an easy plat like the Noble Telltale games. And obviously, this isn't made by Telltale either. So I mean, you could expect that as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I have to play it through multiple times, that's annoying, but it's not really the most terrible thing. I think the worst part is, again, I'm less enticed by the story because of the decisions they made. So that's probably, above anything else, the reason I'm going to put off playing it until further down the road.
All right, understood. All right, so let's get into our topics. Alex, remember a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago, we talked about how Embracer Group had changed the name of a studio to Onoma?
Yes, and I would actually, Andy might have been on that episode.
Well, don't worry about pronouncing their name again because it just got shut down. This is coming from IGN and written by Kat Bailey. The Embracer Group is shutting down Onoma just months after its acquisition, with some staff set to be transferred to the sister studio Eidos Montreal, as reported by Bloomberg. This closure will impact some 200 employees. Formerly known as Square Enix Montreal, Onoma was acquired along with the rest of Square Enix former Western Holdings back in August. It took on the name back in October. According to Bloomberg, the move is likely a cost-cutting measure, as Eidos Montreal is reportedly reducing the scope of one project and plans to cancel another. Eidos Montreal is also reporting helping Microsoft to develop a game in the Fable franchise, though it's unclear if it's serving as a support studio for Playground Games' Fable project. It appears to be similar to the deal that Crystal Dynamics is with the initiative co-developed Perfect Dark. So it's a little weird that they went through the whole thing to say, we're changing your name, and then a couple weeks later, nope, we're just shutting you down.
I mean, Embracer Group has spent a lot of money recently and made a lot of acquisitions, and if you're not paying attention, you probably don't know how big Embracer Group is and what they actually own. It's a lot. I mean, they recently bought the rights to Lord of the Rings. But, I mean, so with how many studios they bought, I mean, at some point, yeah, something like this is going to happen where they're like, we spent a lot of money and now we need to kind of curtail things to where we can keep the tech that you guys own, proprietary tech, and, keep a lot of the brain trust in there and move people over to different studios. But as far as certain satellite studios or certain, development studios we own, it's not surprising.
All right, Steven, you were about to say something.
I have no idea what they're doing. I don't understand Embracer. They don't function like any normal business.
So
like, I have no clue what they're doing at any point. So it's like there's no point in trying to like dissect the news here. Like, they rename a studio and in 2 weeks close the studio. Like, literally, it was like the 15th day they closed the studio.
Right.
It's just, who the hell knows? I mean, it could have just been the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. When I see Embracer Group, I think chaos incarnate. So I have no idea what the hell they're doing over there.
Yeah, I can't really add anything to it because, like, just you spent all that time and effort to rename the studio, and it's like two weeks later, you're like, oh, don't even worry about it anymore because you guys don't exist anymore.
I mean, if you look at Embracer Group, like some of the stuff that they've been working on recently, Knights of the Old Republic, the remake had to be moved from Asper to Saber Interactive because the project wasn't where Disney and where Sony wanted it to be. And then you had, which has been, pretty received, I don't want to say poorly, but pretty mediocrely. Like, anybody who seemed to want to play it that we knew saw it and was like, yeah, no, we don't want to play that game anymore. And now, again, I've raised the question before, if Embracer is right to be, the head of all these studios or in charge of all these studios, and not really a lot of seemingly positive stuff coming out of Embracer these days.
All right. Mikey Kirsch in the chat says, to be fair, the studio picked their own name and their new logo. He doesn't think Embracer had a hand in that part, just the closure.
I would imagine Embracer still approved all those decisions.
I would.
I
think
mean,
they would have
they-
to, wouldn't they?
yeah, I feel like they knew at some point, like maybe they had a list of like, oh, here's 5 studios that are not performing that we need to cut to kind of get costs down a little bit. And they just weren't sure if that was going to be one, so they didn't want to give any hints and just be like, yeah, sure, you could change your name, blah, blah, blah. But then they let them do like a press release about it. Like, at some point, you got to be like, maybe not now, you guys. Like,
Let's hold off 2 weeks to make this.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. That's just a bizarre situation. I don't even know, like, what is Embracer's identity? Like, I have no idea. I can't even tell you. You named like 50 franchises. I have no idea which ones they actually make or own, or like I have no idea. It's almost as diluted as Xbox Studios at this point. I have no clue. What's going on over there.
I think Embracer's slowly trying to become the new Tencent. Just have a hand in everything.
Okay, but Tencent, like, their gaming stuff is like 10% of their entire like catalog. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, but they got their hands in a lot of pots, and so does Embracer. Like I weeks ago or months ago, we had an image that showed in the Facebook group that showed like how many studios Embracer owned, and it was like insane.
Yeah, it's basically just a numbers game at that point. But
you know what Embracer will or Tencent will never get their hands on? Kojima Productions.
Yeah, get your grubby hands off.
Coming from IGN and written by George Yang, Hideo Kojima has said that he's been approached with some ridiculous monetary offers from other companies to buy his studio, Kojima Productions. However, he's been rejecting all of them. On episode 10 of his Spotify podcast, Brain Structure, Kojima says, quote, "We are indies, we have no affiliations whatsoever and are not backed by anyone and are on good terms with everybody in the industry." He continued to say, "Every day I'm approached by offers from all over the world to buy our studio. Some of our offers are ridiculously high prices, but it's not that I want the money. I want to make what I want to make. That's why I created the studio. As long as I'm alive, I don't think I'll ever accept those offers," end quote. And I cannot be happier to hear him say that. That is, I mean, we've speculated many times, with all these studio accusations going on, is PlayStation or Xbox gonna buy Kojima Productions? And I've said time and time again, there's no way in hell Kojima's ever gonna work for somebody else again. He's gonna be the head of a studio, and that's the way he wants to run his life.
The way the whole thing with Konami ended, and Metal Gear Solid 5 and all of that, how all of that happened, I can't see him ever being tied down to one studio or one publisher. Plus, he gets to be so much more creative by signing these little contracts to make games. He's making a mobile game now. Like, he's just kind of doing whatever the hell he wants. And honestly, that kind of Kojima's a little scarier. So I like that. When Kojima's a little scary, that excites me.
Alex? Did we lose Alex?
For a moment, but I'm back.
Oh, are you back? Because you're still kind of robot-y.
He's back. I hear him.
Yeah, is this better?
That's better, yes.
Yeah, no, I find it hard to believe, and I guarantee that both Microsoft and Sony approached him. I bet those were 2 of the companies, because, I mean, who else is going to buy that? I mean, Konami, we can already consider as out. They're not going to be buying anybody. They're just going to outsource all their work.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Konami offered him the deal and said, "Yeah, I'll go back"?
I would love to live.
Oh, we're losing Alex again.
Yeah. Death Stranding, which was his big project, which he built in like about 3 years, which was one of those things that took a lot of people by surprise.
You have complete control.
Okay, Alex, we lost you, so we kind of moved on a little bit, so we didn't hear a thing you just said.
Sorry, Alex.
Alex is having internet problems, apparently.
The Webternet is out to get Alex.
I'm gonna text him. Steven, please keep going. What you were saying?
Yeah.
Can y'all not hear me?
On PS4 and PC.
Now we can.
We heard you there for a second. On PS4 and PC, in the first year, it looks like Death Stranding sold 5 million copies, which is nothing to snuff at. And of course, it had its whatever the hell that was, like, for PS5. I don't know. It outsold a lot of really big games too, like that. So it's not like it was nothing. But I mean, it sold more than Persona 5. It sold more than The Last of Us Remastered. Oh no, it sold less than The Last of Us Remastered. Excuse me. It sold more than The Last of Us Part 2, apparently. It sold less than Ghost of Tsushima. It sold more than Far Cry New Dawn. It sold more than Medieval. It sold more than Shenmue 3. It sold more than Half-Life Alyx. Sold more than Dark Pictures Anthology. So I mean, it sold more than Madden NFL 20. Oh no, less. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that's actually a little impressive.
These. I'm trying to find the. It sold more than Bloodborne. So and of course that's in the first year. So I don't know if that, but those are huge numbers for a first outing from a new studio, and and just the taste of what he can do, because he really only had the 3 years that he worked on that one. So that game, for lack of a better term, was rushed. Like that game was made very quickly. I could not play that game because it drove me bananas as somebody who suffers from OCD and also anxiety. It did not do well for those parts of my brain, but I digress.
All right, Alice, we have you back?
I sure as hell hope so.
You were going in and out, so I just told Steven to keep talking.
I vamped.
Yeah, the AT&T, we have no good internet options here. Spectrum sucks. AT&T sucks. But I find it hard to believe that Sony wouldn't go to him, and even Microsoft as well, like wouldn't go to Kojima and offer to purchase them and then say you have complete and full autonomy. I think that would be part of the package. But again, maybe after the experience with Konami, Kojima's like, no, I'm going to be left. Maybe he's so traumatized by Konami that he's like, no, never again. And it is nice to hear for once someone who cares more about what they're creating than the money they'll get from it. I mean, I don't know his bank account. I don't have access to it, so he may not have to worry about money at all.
Yeah, you got to imagine he's set for life by now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with all he's done for the game industry, you would hope so. But I mean, it is nice to hear that, hey, I want to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to let anybody have a say in that. I mean, that's for someone who cares that passionately about the art and the video games they create. It's nice to hear. So, but I can't believe that knowing Kojima's abilities and how he feels about ownership of his own IP, that everybody who comes to him wouldn't say, you get to decide whatever you're making. I can't believe that wouldn't be part of the conversation.
Rick says in the chat, Kojima is the Tarantino of game designers. That's not a bad comparison.
I think he doesn't like feet as much, but yeah, maybe.
All right, moving on to our next topic.
And not as much of a gross underbite. An underbite, yeah.
Moving on to our next topic. This one kind of scares me a little bit. Coming from IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale. Marvel has entered an agreement with FIFA and Battlefield publisher EA to make at least 3 action-adventure games based on the Marvel comics. As reported by Bloomberg, this deal will begin with the previously announced Iron Man game from EA Motive, with all 3 games coming to consoles and PC. Though details about what's coming after Iron Man are still thin, each game will feature its own original story set in the Marvel universe. Perhaps known more for sports and traditional shooter games, EA is looking to increase its offerings with the Marvel deal. Quote, "We have an intentional, deliberate strategy to have a balanced portfolio. There will be Marvel fans who don't play other EA games." Well, no shit, Sherlock. Sorry. I had my ad-lib on there. It's unclear if the second or third game will be centered on different Marvel characters like the Hulk or Thor, or there will be follow-ups to the Iron Man game, similar to what Insomniac has done with Spider-Man, its spin-off Miles Morales, and the upcoming sequel. Nothing about a release schedule or single versus multiplayer focus was mentioned either, though we do not know that EA Motive's Iron Man is a single-player action-adventure game. And I'm going to stop reading from there. I think my comments before I let you two go is it scares me when EA is involved in a game that's not a sports franchise. I think we all remember the big epic fail that they had with Battlefield 2 and its release, and we don't make single player games anymore and all this other stuff. Now they kind of redeemed themselves with Fallen Order, but they haven't won me back yet. Alex, we're going to go to you first.
Well, I mean, So yeah, they like we know that with like Battlefront 2 and other Star Wars games, they've really stumbled, but they also put out Jedi Fallen Order, which is a really good game. So they're remaking Dead Space. EA has their moments where they can, do something that's really great for the gaming industry and will please a lot of people. I think the important thing from this is, yes, they have a contract to make 3 games, but they also don't have an exclusivity deal when it comes to Marvel. So just because they're making these games doesn't mean that Disney can't sign, deals with other studios. They can't, they can go out and sign a deal with Ubisoft. They can go out and sign one with Activision or, Microsoft whenever Microsoft swallows up Activision, or, with Sony as well. So they can still sign deals with other people and have other people make games. So I'm not going to shit on the deal. We'll see what EA comes out with, because EA can hit sometimes. It's just, a matter of which teams, I guess, they give it to.
Steven?
Yeah, I think it's all a matter of how they structure it. Is it a character IP license deal? Is it just the Marvel Universe license? There's a lot of different ways you could look at it. I know that Sony's deal with Wolverine was at least, and it was exclusive. It was they're using Wolverine, and Wolverine is kind of to Sony as Spider-Man was. At least that's the understanding that I have when they announced that. So I don't know.
I think Sony owns the rights to Wolverine, right?
What's that?
I think Sony owns the rights to Wolverine, as like they do with Spider-Man.
Not anymore. No, not anymore.
Oh,
they don't even own Spider-Man for video games anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they only own it they own 50%. Well, whatever the percentage is that they worked out with Marvel to make the movies, that is what they've retained. They don't have cartoon rights anymore. They don't have the video game isn't. But they negotiated Spider-Man separately for video games as PlayStation.
Okay, fair enough.
And which is fine. I mean, that was before Marvel was, or Disney was unhappy with what EA did with Star Wars. So I think what they wound up doing is the deals going forward after that, they were upset about the Star Wars situation. I highly doubt that the IP are exclusive now. So EA making these games is not going to be an exclusive deal. It's just the fact that they were able to get the Marvel licensed characters at all. Very similar to how Madden is an EA thing, but the NFL could, if they wanted to, license the NFL property to anyone. They just choose to make it an exclusive deal with EA because EA pays them a lot of money for it. So it's just I guess more lucrative for EA to do it that way. I doubt it is at this point. I feel like they could make way more money if more people were able to make NFL licensed games, but I digress. That's neither here nor there. It's a money play, but it's fine. I mean, EA has been pretty solid over the last 3-4 years. They have their fumbles, but so does everybody. But they've been one of those companies recently that people are excited about. So this just adds to that excitement. And to me, rising tide rises all boats kind of situation. Like, this is only a good thing. Hopefully they don't get bought out by somebody and then it's just tied to a console.
All right. Some comments from the chat. Rick says, can't wait for the comic bubble to burst. He also said Sid is 47 plats off of being ahead of all 3 main hosts combined. When he passes all 3 of you, is that when you'll have him on as a guest? We want Sid to come on as a guest to be more regular of the show. The problem is that he goes to bed early. Obviously, you guys know he lives in the UK, so 7 o'clock for us is midnight for him, so it's a little rough to get him on. Some comments as far as the EA deal. Mikey Kerr says, Sony has the movie production rights for Spider-Man. Fox owned Wolverine/X-Men rights before Disney bought them. Nobody has owned exclusive video game rights as far as he knows. Maybe Activision for a while, and that's all before all the current licensing stuff, obviously. Now, I'm going to pause right there because there's some other comments, but the reason I thought Sony still owned the rights is because when Marvel Avengers came out, Spider-Man was announced as an exclusive character for the PlayStation.
It's not a Sony thing, though. That was an Insomniac game. That was a PlayStation. That's a PlayStation thing. PlayStation has the exclusivity rights to Spider-Man in video game form currently. I don't know how long that goes for, but they have that IP for PlayStation. PlayStation can make it and put it on other stuff. It has nothing to do with Sony. It's a PlayStation thing.
Okay.
And the movie thing is separate. That's Sony, not PlayStation. Sony has the movie stuff, and they worked out a deal with Disney so that they have to have at least, I think, 50% of the production, actual production, and they get a certain amount of the revenue split. It's like a whole big mess in order for them to have it be tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that stuff. So,
okay,
that whole thing.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic. This
real quick.
I'm sorry.
Mind if I add something to this?
Oh, go ahead.
Judging by Disney's strategy with how many Marvel and Star Wars, how much of that content that they're pumping out on Disney Plus, if you think these are the only 3 Marvel video games that we'll be getting for a while, you're dead wrong. They're clearly going to make as much money off Marvel and Star Wars as they can. So you can expect many more Marvel games than just these 3 for EA. As Rick kind of hinted at, we'll probably be sick of Marvel by the time Disney is done with it and never want to see it ever again.
Well, I mean, one thing I'll also say about this is it seems like Disney, for a while everybody was like saying how Disney wanted to get out of the video game market, and now they're pushing it out to other developers. And how many times we talked about the show, like how many Star Wars games we have coming, how many Marvel games now we have coming. Like it seems like Disney is really making the move to have all their licenses in video game form, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But, like Rick said, like he can't wait for the bubble to burst. It's like there can be a point where we're going to be oversaturated so much with these comic book games and these Star Wars games that it's just, it's going to burst. But then again, we say the same thing about Battle Royales, and they're still going strong. So who the hell knows?
I mean, I think we're at that point with the content on Disney Plus, because even if you're a Marvel fan, I know very few people who are actually watching all the Marvel shows. And at some point, they've been, broken. I think Star Wars is still fine. People are still willing to soak up as much Star Wars as they can, but Marvel's a different thing, especially after the Avengers and how we're now moving into a different phase. I think people will still go see movies, but as far as like the television product goes, it seems like people are very hit and miss when it comes to watching all those shows on Disney Plus, the Star Wars ones.
Yeah, I haven't even started Andor yet. I think I'm going to wait until it's fully out before I start that and just binge watch it.
It looks like PlayStation has exclusivity, not ownership of the Spider-Man in video game form right now, but ultimately Disney decides whether or not he appears in other things. So,
okay. All right, so Alex, this is going to be right up your alley, this next topic. 5 Ratchet and Clank games are coming to PlayStation Plus Premium this month. As part of the 20th anniversary, our little character, I forget his name, Lombax, thank you. I just thought of it. He's celebrating 20 years. 5 games are coming to the PlayStation Plus Premium. Those 5 games are going to be Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, Ratchet and Clank Deadlocked, and Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction. They will be all set on the Premium. I'm looking for a date, and it does not give me a date. Oh, there they go. Nope. No date. They're going to be coming sometime. Oh, wait. There's the date. November 15th. Yeah, I just skipped right over it. So November 15th, you're going to get all these games. Ninja Tito, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So, Steven, we'll go to you first because I know Alice is got excitement. I want him to hold his excitement back just for a little bit. Steven, what do you think about all these Ratchet and Clank games coming?
I think it's great. I don't understand why they weren't already. That's it. That's all I have to say. Like they're PlayStation games. Like why weren't these, like, I get it, it's the PS3 whole backwards blah 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 and all that crap. But like, come on. If just put your games on the thing and stop it.
All right.
That's all I have to say. I know they're great games. Future Tools of Destruction, awesome game.
Apparently we have one of your fans in the chat. Ninja Tito said, Steve sent you here because you're an absolute legend.
Ninja Tito. Boom,
and
boom,
Rick
boom,
says, before I let Alice go, Rick says, Agent Clank on the PS2 is the rarest, and they didn't add it. Alex, what do you think about all these Ratchet Clank games coming to premium?
You know, I've played the when they came out and added trophies to all the they re-released them on the PS3, I think it was. All the Ratchet and Clank games, I went through and played them for the trophies and had a lot of fun the second time through. The one game in that, well, I've never played Deadlock because I don't really care so much. If the arena battles are a smaller part of the Ratchet and Clank games, I'm fine with that. I'd much rather have arena battles, obviously, than racing in Ratchet and Clank. But the only game of the ones I've played, the only one I haven't replayed is Tools of Destruction. So I think it's great that all these games are going to be on the service. I, like Steven, and you know, I'm like, why weren't these? You know, this is one of your biggest franchises. They should have been there a long time ago.
When you see this as an announcement, you're like, how are they not already on there?
Yeah.
just weird.
Yeah, but I would like to play Tools of Destruction again. Am I going to pay the money for premium just to play Tools of Destruction again? No, but I will say that in the first year of the PS3's life, you know, you had some good stuff. You had Motorstorm, you had Resistance, you had, you know, a few downers. You had Heavenly Sword, which was good, but, you know, there were issues with that game with repetitiveness. You had Lair, which is a complete disappointment. Warhawk was one of the games that really helped pull up the PlayStation 3. Nathan Fortune, or Uncharted
Warhawk.
Nathan's Uncharted
Fortune.
Drake's Fortune was another game that helped pull it up. And Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction going into the fall, I think it released in like September or something like that of that year, was another game that really kind of helped justify a PS3 purchase. You had to wait a while for it, but it was a very good game. And man, when you saw the graphics on that, I mean, I know that, you know, Rift Apart looked fantastic, but back in the day, like, that's the first time I think anyone ever thought, man, Ratchet and Clank kind of looks like it was made by Pixar because this looks so damn good. So the game was fun, and it showed off the power of the PS3 very early on and what they could do with the Ratchet and Clank series. So a good game, and I would like to play it again. I just don't know if I'm willing to shell out the bucks to play it again.
You mentioned Rift Apart, also part of this. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is going to be receiving an update as part of the anniversary celebration, which includes 5 new armor sets for Ratchet and Rivet based on different games in the series history. Rick also says, so many games that cost over £100 secondhand on PlayStation 2 physical, why don't they add them to PlayStation Plus? I mean, that's a fair point. But it's just to answer that, and I really don't want to have a discussion about this because I'm basing this on just my opinion and no fact. I think they're kind of holding back most of the first party games because they don't want people to compare it to Game Pass, because right now you can't even compare the two. It's two totally different services.
I think that they are hoping people think they are the same service, and without having to put their exclusive games on there and still make money on those. That's
also fair. All right. We have to get into the crazy news here. Are you guys ready for this? Alex, I know this is not going to affect you, but you might want to sit down and strap on your seatbelt. IGN is reporting, as written by Adam Bankhurst, the PlayStation VR2 has officially been revealed. We're going to get it on February 22nd, 2023, for the low, and I mean low price of $550.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-orders will begin on November 15th if you're interested. As revealed by the PlayStation blog, VR2 will include the VR2 headset, PSVR Sense controllers, and stereo headphones. There will be a VR2 Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle that will retail for $600 and will include everything from the standard edition plus a PlayStation Store voucher code for Horizon Call of the Mountain. Also launching on February 22nd will be the VR2 Sense controller charger station, which allows players to charge their controllers through, quote, through a simple click-in design without having to connect to a PS5 console, freeing up the console's USB ports. I don't think that's what people were worried about there, sir. Pre-orders, those who live in the US, UK, France, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg will only be able to initially pre-order the VR through Sony's online store at direct.playstation.com. While pre-orders will begin on November 15th, those interested can register today to get ready. Sony also revealed 11 new titles headed to the VR2. They include the Dark Pictures Switchback VR, Crossfire Sierra Squad, the Light Brigade Cities VR Enhanced Edition, Cosmos Casamonius High, Hello Neighbor, Search and Rescue, Jurassic Park Aftermath Collection, Pistol Whip VR, Zenith, The Last City, After the Fall, and why can't I say that word? Tentacore. While we don't have the full lineup yet, Sony did confirm that it's expected more than 20 titles upon launch. Now, this is going to be a weird conversation because, Steven, I know as far as VR goes, you say you get vertigo and you can't do VR too much.
I have done VR, and I was anticipating the PSVR2. I really wanted to know what it was going to be about as far as the price and what was involved. So I could definitely speak on this. Plus, I have a couple of unique perspectives on it as well. So I am looking forward to talking about it.
Okay, and Alex, you are. I'm not gonna say you're anti-VR, but this VR does not entice you at all.
I'm anti this price tag when I'm already trying to support a Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation 5. I mean, I'll be honest with that. It's not. If someone can afford the technology and wants to play with it, one of Ashley's sons, he loves VR. He's got a VR headset, and he loves it. So I know that there's a market out there for it. I'm just not going to bring essentially another PlayStation thing in my house when I already have the console, and I'm fine with just that.
All right.
It's a lack of need for it. I don't really need it.
All right. There are some comments in the chat, and we will be getting to that. But initially, Alex kind of dropped his opinion so far. Steven, is Sony crazy for launching this at that price?
No, they're crazy on how they announced it. I think this was a PR blunder because they did not create substantial and sustainable hype before telling people what this was going to cost. Let's make something very clear. The people who are buying PSVR2, I would say 90% of them already have PSVR and also already have a PS5. They're not looking to get new VR or new PlayStation gamers to buy a PS5 and a PSVR2 for over $1,000. That's not who this is targeting. Period. Don't even stop thinking about it. The argument of people saying, why would I get into VR for $550 when I have to get a $500 console when I could just get a Quest 2 for $400? That's not their audience. That's not who they're targeting. Period. Just stop thinking about that. They don't care about those consumers. Those consumers are or whatever. What they did a really shitty job of nailing in, or I forget. I'm sorry, I'm having word vomit problems.
Nailing down.
Yeah, the problem nailing down is that this VR headset is to quote the other side of dual screens, Andy Asimakis, it is punching way above its weight. It is a $1,000 easily, $1,000 headset easily if this was just the headset on the market, right? Granted, you need a PS5, so technically it is a $1,000 piece of hardware. Whatever. Again, we're not going to have that argument. But the problem is they announced a price without showing us the must-have titles. They still say that there's unannounced titles soon to be announced and all this stuff. That is not how PlayStation sells things. That is not how they ever sold things. They're taking the console approach of saying, this reminded me of the PS3, $599.
You will go out and get a second job for this.
When all they showed us was 2 games.
Right.
Like, you can't do that. If you want people to be excited about it, they should have showed the headset, how pretty it is, all the stuff, showed the 12 games that they're working on, get people really hyped about it, not announce a price, and then 4 hours later put a blog post out saying it's $550. You know how many people would still be like, oh shit, man, that was really exciting. I can't wait to play this, and this. 550, oh, that'll be tight, but oh man, it's gonna be where I have to play these games. I'm so excited. Like, they did it in the complete opposite way, which just left a weird taste in people's mouths. And I want to say just one thing. I'm a part of many gaming circles, and one of them is a Facebook page, and it's got tens of thousands of people in it. These are the hardest core of the hardcore gamers. To be in a Facebook group where all you do is talk gaming, like your day one adopters. That's who these people are.
Right.
And one of them is an admin for this Facebook group says $550 is a big yikes. I've done plenty of frivolous tech spending over the years, but that seems wild to me, particularly with it not being standalone. And then the OP says exactly, probably still cheaper than a lot of other headsets, but still, that is what they really fumbled in explaining. The tech is way above what they're pricing it for, and they did not get people excited for it. That's on them. They have to explain that to consumers, and I don't. The way Sony's been kind of screwing up their PR or their advertising and their PR lately, I just don't see them being able to correct course. But again, the audience that this VR is actually for, they're in. Like the 550 is nothing to them. So
yeah, but okay. Before I start reading the comments from the chat, I think the argument, because everything you just said, I 100% agree with you. Okay, the tech is, you're not paying as much as you would for the tech if this was standalone. I get that, but I don't think Sony measured or properly put the expectations out there to say, hey, listen, this is going to be pricey. We're going, they didn't properly say what they needed to do to get that out there. Well, you just dropped something going, okay, this is the VR2, and then, you put out a blog post saying, and a video saying it's going to be $550. Yeah, that's a big yikes. And
it's just optics. That's
right.
all. That's all it is. Like they just do it. They did a poor job of communicating it. Like to people who consume PlayStation content every day of the week, even it's not as palatable even to those people. So it's not the price that's a problem. It's it's the messaging behind the price. Like they just didn't do a very good job.
All right, so I'm going to quickly go through some comments here because there are quite a lot of them. When we started the topic, Rick says, I will defend this. Ninja said, tempting. At least £1,000 hardware for nearly half the price. Ninja says, I bet more people would buy it if you could actually stream VR games with it. Rick says, absolutely. I'll buy it because I want to support them going forward. Rick says, I'll be trading in my Series X towards it. If I had a Switch, I'd trade that in a heartbeat. Ninja says, I got to see how many VR1 games get updated to support VR2, and then I'll make a decision. That is also another thing where they came out and said that the VR1 games are not going to be compatible. Now we have to sit back and wait to see which developers are going to port it up to the VR2.
And a lot of them already said it's not really that big a deal. They're just going to, it's just a matter of updating the tracking. If they updated the tracking for another headset that uses this type of technology, which is basically the new standard, a lot of these games are going to be fine. They'll just put a patch out. And it'll be fine. So I don't think you have to worry too much about it.
Rick says none as far as I'm aware. A Ninja says, I'll tell you, Skyrim VR is more fun on VR1 than Valve Index for some godforsaken reason. That reason being you can sit down and play with it, which you can't on Steam for some reason. Rick says, Skyrim and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners were worth my VR1 price. Matt says, not only that in power, but the VR2 is going to blow the Quest 2 out of the water, plus haptics. Rick agreed. And then there's a bunch of, I gotta check out the VR, the Walking Dead game.
The Horizon game is their killer app. Like there's a comment in here, no killer app, no purchase. From Tris.
That's Felicia.
Yep. I don't know. I can't. Words are hard.
That's Felicia. Just call it
Felicia. I mean that's the one that they're and apparently Half-Life Alyx will be on that as well. So like they're gonna have the killer apps. They didn't tell anybody about them. They didn't show enough of them. They just announced the price. Like I don't understand why they decided to announce an expensive peripheral that's as expensive, if not more expensive, than the console, the base console. And you didn't hype the catalog first. That doesn't make any sense.
All right.
Just announce the software and show it.
The last comment I'm going to pick out from the chat is Skin says, the price isn't bad, but I'm with Steve. They need to make people excited.
Yeah, that's where they fumbled it, for sure.
All right.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
So this is going to be one of the most expensive headsets out there, correct?
No. This is actually fairly priced.
But I think that you have a big jump. It's almost double the price of the original VR, correct?
No, the original VR was $400.
More expensive.
It's
It's how much more expensive?
$100 more expensive. Oh, well, 150. Yeah. The original one came out for 400.
Well, but that was without if you had the camera and all that shit, wasn't it? I think it was 500. It was 450 if you got the camera and the Move controller and the headset, like that whole bundle. I think that was 450.
I bought the standard headset because I already had that stuff, so I paid 400. I'll research that as Alice is talking.
But I mean, does anyone not think it's crazy that I can't remember how many adopters I think it was 3 million adopters for the first PSVR, maybe, but they're raising the price, and it seems like a lot of people who own the PSVR are on a wait and see approach because they want to see if their game library is going to be compatible at some point with the PSVR2. Or with a bump in cost, are they really expecting more people to adopt this time around? Because as I see it, if your adoption is yet 3 million more users like the first one, or you maybe add 500,000, that's not really giving Sony much incentive to support the PSVR in the way that they would need to get more adopters. So is this going to just be the same performance as the first one? I don't know. I mean, I think price does matter. But yeah. I don't think they're going to grow their audience with this either.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they care. I think that they are positioning this to be to continue the VR. The people who love VR and have a PlayStation have a really, really cheap option to have some of the best VR. Period. And I think that's what they're banking on. Again, they need to communicate that, but it is like I'm looking at the HTC Vive. It's $1,000. The Oculus, whatever the fuck, I forget which one it's called. I think it's just not the Go. The Go is what? Well, that's used. If you're getting anything that's worth a damn, you're paying $1,000 anyway. You're paying $800, paying $700. So like.
And again, I just want to point out, like, when you say, like, the Vive is $1,000 by itself. You still need a powerful PC to run it. So you're spending thousands of dollars before you even do that. This is the same. I mean, this is the price is a shock because what people are hearing is that this is more expensive than their rig. Like, anybody that's in the VR world, this is more expensive than the PlayStation 5, where if you go out and buy a Vive, the PlayStation VR2 is more expensive than the PS5, where if you go out and buy a Vive, you've already spent thousands of dollars on your PCs, so to speak. So adding another $1,000 isn't that much of a big deal, where now you're coming out and saying this is the VR headset that only works with this thing, and it's more expensive than the thing you bought in the first place. Just before we continue on, I just looked it up. The PlayStation VR bundle at launch, which included the camera, 2 moves, and PlayStation World, which was basically a demo disc, was $500 at launch.
Mm-hmm. 500.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you needed a PS4.
Yeah, but I still think that even if Sony's headset is cheaper in comparison, most people who probably buy the VR2 are going to also own a PS5. And when you consider all the purchases that people have made, that's not really cheap, even if the headset is cheap in comparison. The VR is like a tack on for most people. It's not like, oh, I'm going to own a VR and not a PS5. Most people own the PS5, and if they can afford it, the VR. And as we saw last generation, most people didn't see it as a necessary purchase. It's just an add-on that, comparatively few people can afford.
All right, moving on here to our next article, also coming from IGN, written by Anthony Wood. As we sit here waiting for God of War Ragnarok to launch on Wednesday, the day this show comes out, we have an article from IGN saying the PlayStation and Santa Monica Studios' critically acclaimed God of War 2018 has now sold more than 23 million copies to date, according to the latest earnings report from Sony. The new sales figure is up from the 19.5 million copies sold as of October 21, with the increase likely in part to own that the PC version of God of War being released earlier this year that saw Sony's biggest launch on the PC to date. That is not a number to shake a stick at. That is very impressive for a game sale that is not GTA.
Yeah, it's a great game. So
Yeah.
GG's.
Alex, you want to say anything? I mean, this is a kind of a pass-through topic, but that's not like I said, that's not a number to shake a stick at. I think we lost Alex again.
It's possible.
All right, then we're going to move on here to our next article coming from also IGN, written by Anthony Wood. A little bit of sad news. The number of PlayStation Plus subscribers has fallen by almost 2 million since Sony launched its revamped subscription service in June. According to the company's latest financial report, Sony's multi-tiered PlayStation Plus subscription service has dropped from 47.3 million at the end of June to 45.4 million in the 3 months leading up to September 30th, a decrease of 4%. Sony highlighted that the ratio of gamers subscribed to the service is significantly higher on the PS5 than it is for the previous PS4. In response, Sony's leadership plans to accelerate the adoption of PlayStation 5 hardware to, quote, recover this user engagement going forward, end quote. The number of active users on the PlayStation Network also dropped by 1 million in the latest quarter to 102 million players. Though the numbers dropped on the digital side, Sony had a strong showing when it comes to the PlayStation 5 hardware. The company announced it has now sold more than 25 million units and was able to produce roughly 6.5 million PS5s in the 3 months leading up to September 30th. Does the number of PlayStation Plus subscribers to you, Steven, does that worry you at all?
No, because I was one of the 2 million and it wasn't on purpose. So I imagine there were a lot of people that got all screwed up in the automatic resubscription. Is it more money, less money? Which tier do I end up in? Do I have to update the thing? I have to approve this. It's charging me more here. It was just a fumbled rollout of a new service. And I think that between all the kids going back to school and also that happening, I think it was just like a kind of a side effect of that. It was like the numbers will slowly climb back up once people want to start playing games again, like around the holidays again and stuff like that, where they need their online service. And they're like, oh, that's what $12 gets me? Oh, I understand now. I could update that. Because remember, a lot of people bought like 3 years of Plus when it was on that crazy deal for like Costco and whatever. Like, people were buying 3 years in advance. Well, guess what? You still had to pay a couple extra bucks to get this premium blah, blah, blah. So if you didn't opt in for that, guess what? Your Plus went away. And if you're not logging into your PlayStation, guess what? Like you didn't have Plus anymore. You had to like update your payment and stuff like that and like agree to the new tier. So I just think that was really what happened. And it was just an unfortunate thing. And the most unfortunate thing was the headlines that came out of it, in my opinion. It just makes them look stupid and incompetent and bad. But that's really not, it's not, the sky is not falling for them by any means.
All right, Alex, you back?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about PlayStation Plus subscribers down to 2 million?
I mean, they mentioned that this is now the second. There's a certain amount of time where this is like the second consecutive loss. I don't know if it's in the period or the month or how exactly it's phrased, but they've lost, for multiple time periods now, PlayStation Plus subscribers. I think it originally started at 48 and it's dropped since then from there. Not good. The headline's certainly not good for Sony, and it makes, in the wake of the continued strength of Game Pass, it certainly doesn't make Sony look any good or the PlayStation Plus service look any good. But, like Steven said, they'll bounce back. They'll recover. People will resubscribe. The important thing is Sony getting, as long as Sony gets consoles out there and people are buying them, because that was one thing that was mentioned in the article, that the fewer people playing on the PS4 and not enough PS5s out there could be part of the reason that the subscriptions have dropped. So as they get more and more as long as they get PS5s out in the wild and people are buying them, then the subscribers will come. Even if it's just the basic level, which I have, PlayStation Plus Essential, they'll originally get back. They'll get back there. So, but more than anything, actual real concern for Sony is really just kind of like what the headlines look and the gut reaction or the knee-jerk reaction to those headlines, and it seeming worse than it actually is.
All right. At this time, we're going to throw it across the pond to Sid for this week's Sophie Trophies. I clocked it in at 8 minutes, so for us, we can go get a drink or go get something use the bathroom, whatever. Stick around and donate 8 minutes if you guys have any questions, because we're going to go straight into listener questions afterwards. So in the meantime, enjoy Sid. Sid, take it away, sir.
Hello again, my friends. I'm back with another Sophie's Trophies. And this one is for an older game. It was re-released a couple of years ago. You may hear a noise in the background, guys. That is my little dude, Callum. So let's get on with this one. This one is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. It came out on the N64 many, many years ago. It got a re-release on the PS4. The trophies are actually pretty good, I have to say. The game itself, it doesn't look great these days, but it plays really well. So, let's get to these trophies, guys. Now, the first one, as always, is the Platinum. Now, this is Pod Racing. And then we have Start Your Engines, which is Complete Amateur Pod Racing Circuit. Simple, just complete all the races. Don't Get Cocky Kid, Complete Semi-Pro Pod Racing Circuit. From Uvu 4 to Tatooine, complete the Galactic Pod Racing Circuit. Invitation accepted, complete Invitational Pod Racing Circuit. So, this one, guys, all easy, those ones. All you have to do is complete each race in each circuit. You have to come 3 or over. This is Pod Racing. Finish your first race. Lightspeed. Reach 700 miles per hour. Kessel Run. Reach 1,000 miles per hour. Now, you will need to upgrade your ship, so that trophy will come later. May the First be with you. Come in first place. Don't count on it, slime ball. Taunt your opponents. So, you can tell, guys, they're all pretty self-explanatory. It's a new lap record. Set a new lap record. Mind tricks don't work on me, only money. Purchase your first upgrade. So you can upgrade your engines, your turning, your traction, and things like that, and your boost. Inka Bunga. Complete a boost start. Bantha Poodoo. Hit 10 enemies with Sebulba's weapon. So before you can do this one, guys, you need to unlock Sebulba, which I can't actually remember how you do that. See, I'm good at this, aren't I, guys? But once you've unlocked Sebulba, I think you have to pay for him. Then you can use him and just go around a race and shoot 10 enemies with his weapon. Bullseye. Unlock Bullseye Navior. The Devlik is in the details. Unlock One Sondage. I'm not sure if I'm saying these names right, guys, but they're 2 characters that you need to unlock as you play the game. Woohoo! Perform a boost. The fastest racer in the galaxy. Finish all races in first place. So the best way to do this one, guys, is if you just go through the races and you can't get any higher than 3rd, but you're still making it through, just wait till you've unlocked a few upgrades. And each upgrade really does make the game a lot easier. Brake check. Unlock Team 2 Pagalis. Cell Block Racer. Unlock Fud Sang. Yeah, another 2 you have to unlock. Another 2 names I've probably announced wrong. But I have to say, Star Wars is full of stupid names. Me and my stepdaughter this morning, we were talking, and my little laddie's playing... what is he playing? He's playing a Star Wars game, Battlefront 2. And he started talking about Count Dooku, and she just started giggling to herself. So that just goes to tell you what certain people think of these names. And you came, you looked around, you bought. Purchase all of the best upgrades. So you can either keep doing races, earning the money, or what I'm doing at the moment is I'm earning a bit of money and unlocking a certain level of upgrade, and then going back to do certain races because you earn more money if you come in higher places. I'm doing it that way. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. Each race you do will earn you some credits, and then you can save up or just buy the next upgrade, or, like I say, save up for the best upgrade. It takes a little while, but it's easy enough to do. Eat my exhaust. Taunt during a boost. So do a boost and do a taunt at the same time. It's working, it's working. Repair your engines from warning back to stable as Anakin. So as you go around the track, your engines, there's a little picture, and each section will go from green to red, showing how much damage is on there. So once you are in red, just hold R1, I think it is, guys, to repair your ship, and you will get back to normal. And he will shout, "It's working, it's working." By far the favourite today. Unlock Subulba. Welcome to the dark side. Unlock Slide Parameter. Then we have Bedo's Wild Ride. Unlock Aldar Bedo. Then we have Taking the High Road. Unlock Bozzy Baranta. Then we have Servo Droid Inc. Max out your pit crew. So you can pay to upgrade your pit crew, much like you upgrade your ship. So do that, get them to full strength, and you will get that trophy. Win a race with Subulba. This one, guys, easy enough because Subulba is pretty fast. So all you need to do is do a race with Subulba, and you will win that trophy. And the last one, guys, left, I mean right. Complete a mirrored race. So in the options, put your tracks to mirrored, and you will play the game backwards or mirrored or whatever. Complete that, and you will earn that final trophy. So that, guys, is Star Wars Episode 1. There are 30 trophies. It is a good game. I quite enjoy it. It's one I dip in and out of quite a lot. Well worth getting. It's about £8. So for that price, considering it was £60 on the N64, there you go. So yeah, that's it from me this week, guys. Hope you're all doing okay. Keep getting those trophies. Bye.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Sid, for that wonderful Sophie's Trophies. Me and Steven were kind of fighting in the Twitch chat a little bit.
Sid makes me that Sophie's Trophies made me feel like I was in a horror movie, hearing like a little child in the back of my brain. It was a little bit scary. It reminded me a little bit of Clock Tower. I won't lie.
Sid, I know you're not in the chat, so I'll give you the feedback. Felicia said that. Was it Felicia or was it Rick? Hold on, let me just confirm. Rick says he's glad that you're doing more than just rat games. Unfortunately, that's all I'm feeding you lately, so it's kind of hard to play that. But maybe we'll get a Sophie's Trophies on God of War next week.
And it's like a good example of, he talked about how this game was previously released on the N64. It's nice to see an older game come back. And for us trophy hunters, you can play a game that you enjoyed in your younger days, but get trophies for them. So it's a nice way to revitalize these old games, to add a little bit of an extra layer to them.
Absolutely. All right, we don't have any listener questions, but we can't do a show without it.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right, we're going to go into our topic of the week. This is coming from IGN and is written by George Yang. Unfortunately, we have to cover this yet again on the show. This is getting a little annoying, but we're reporting the news to you. Xbox Phil Spencer has said that should Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard go through, the company will continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation as long as there is PlayStation consoles out to ship to. On the same Brain YouTube channel, Spencer said, we're not taking Call of Duty from PlayStation. That is not our intent. Our intent is not to do that as long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to. Our intent is that we'll continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation, similar to what we've done with Minecraft since we owned that. End quote. He goes on to reiterate how Microsoft has kept Minecraft available on other platforms and that Xbox could do the same for Call of Duty over the next few years. Spencer also notes that players have invested a lot of time into their respective console ecosystems and that the most notable change is that more games will be coming to Game Pass. Spencer also added that he'd like to see the series on Nintendo Switch. Elsewhere, PlayStation revealed earlier that day that the recent launch of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was the biggest PlayStation Store launch ever for a game in the franchise, including pre-orders and day one sales. While Spencer reiterates his intent on keeping Call of Duty on Sony's platform, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan revealed earlier this year that Microsoft only offered 3 additional years for the franchise to stay on PlayStation after the existing agreements expire. Currently, the acquisition is being held up by the UK Competition and Markets Authority, as well in the City of New York and the U.S. Justice Department. In particular, the UK Competition Watchdog has recently started asking for the public's opinion about the matter. In Brazil, the acquisition has already been approved, stating that its goal is to protect the consumer, not the PlayStation's own interests. I read the entire article, so please go give that a click. I'm going to reserve my comments because we've gone on this a bunch of times, but I think Phil Spencer's comments are bullshit, and I'll explain why. But, Alice, we'll start with you, sir.
Well, I wonder if anyone picked up on this. He said, as long as PlayStation is around. I wonder what the context was that with that was. Was he citing or foreshadowing the end of PlayStation once they buy Activision? Like, oh, we're going to put Sony under. I'm joking, of course, but I could see how somebody idiot on the internet would run with that and say, he said as long as Sony's around, he doesn't think PlayStation's going to be around forever. But yeah, like I said, here is what's likely going to happen. They're going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, and they're going to make people who own PlayStations buy it. That's what's going to happen. It makes no sense for them to do anything else. Again, best experiences on Xbox, put it for, tying it to a subscription for Game Pass gives you the leverage, more than enough leverage for them to keep it on Sony's consoles regardless. So you will be able to play some form of Call of Duty on your PlayStation. It's just you're going to have to pay for it, whereas people who own an Xbox or play through Game Pass are going to be able to play via subscription, monthly subscription. That's it.
Steven?
I love how throughout all of this, Sony was like, "Hey there, Mr. Xbox, look at this. Your game sold the best on our thing. Here's a big old Call of Duty cock on the table. Bah, bah. Take it or leave it." I like that whole aspect of it. I don't think any of this matters because they're going to make money regardless. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, you said they. What day are you referring to?
Microsoft. They're going to make money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to make money. It'll be on PlayStation. They'll make their money. And then even if it's not on PlayStation, they'll make their money. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. And I'm tired of arguing about it.
We're all tired of arguing about it. But
I'll never play an Activision game again until Bobby Kotick is Viking funeraled out into the Hudson River.
I expected Alex to chime in there, say hell yeah.
I mean, I know I was silent, but I mean, last game I bought was Crash 4, and that was before all this news came out. And yeah, I'm not, as long as Bobby Kotick is involved, which again, he's not going to go in and be second in command to Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer's not going to let him hang around. They're not stupid. It's bad PR. So they're going to offer him some money to go the fuck away. That's just what's going to happen. So, but if by chance he sticks around, yeah, nothing from Activision is going to be purchased from funds from my wallet.
All right. We got to put our conspiracy hats on, gentlemen.
Oh,
you're doing this a lot lately. You're getting crazy with this.
Yes. I see this one of two ways. One, I see this as Xbox saw the sales that they just got on the PlayStation and said, fuck, we can't take it off. So it sounds like it personally sounds like to me that Phil Spencer's turned around and saying, oh no, we can't take it off of PlayStation because we'd lose a shitload of money. But I also see this as PlayStation gamers speaking out with their wallets, and that this is the biggest Call of Duty launch ever, and the PlayStation gamers have turned around and said, we're going to buy this game so much that we're going to show Microsoft they cannot take it off of PlayStation because they're going to lose so much money.
This is advice for you, Tricky. If
I know you don't agree with me.
If what you think is something that sounds like you would have heard it on the playground in 8th grade.
Oh God.
Chances are the multi-trillion-dollar company that is Microsoft is not thinking that. I cannot stress this enough. The amount of money that they spent to purchase Activision is a drop in the bucket for Microsoft. Like a drop in the bucket. It would be like you giving your child money for ice cream. It doesn't matter. And they could care less how much money it makes on PlayStation. However, here's my conspiracy. They didn't say which Call of Duty game, and I think I saw that comment in the chat. What if they just make Warzone a constant PlayStation thing, and the new the newest and latest Call of Duty just ends up on their little thing? You never know. But I also do want to say this. I think that it's not the PlayStation gamers voting with their wallet. It's the fact that Modern Warfare 2 is one of, if not the most beloved modern Call of Duty games of all time. That was the biggest selling Call of Duty game for such a long time, and the fact that this is like essentially a reboot or whatever of that, I think got a lot of people to want to buy the game. People that may have been lapsed Call of Duty fans and stuff like that.
All right. Some comments from the chat. There's 2 comments from Rick that I cannot read on this. But
are they in Rick's own language?
Yes. I don't say it's Rick's own language. I think it's language of that country. That let's just say he said a word that it would not be accepted.
You're talking slang. That you
see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Rick brought up the see you next Tuesday. Rick says his tinfoil hat is his favorite. Matt says not even maybe. Microsoft doesn't give a shit about money with Xbox, to be honest. Rick says my conspiracies are silly. Matt says they have a gajillion dollars.
Yes, they do.
Rick wants to know, did you know Marilyn Manson had 2 ribs removed?
Okay, all right. Keep it on track there, Tricky.
I wasn't going to finish it.
You don't have to read every comment. Let them talk to each other about Marilyn Manson. This was a rumor that we heard in 1996. Like, we don't need to.
I wasn't going to finish it.
Jesus Christmas.
Okay, and then the last thing, Felicia says, Sony will just get a Call of Duty without all the additional map DLCs, which will be Xbox exclusive, which I think is more likely. Yeah, I really can't see Microsoft taking Call of Duty off of this. I think this is a lot of yelling across the aisle and nobody's really knows what the hell's going to go on. I think Sony and PlayStation is scared if they lose Call of Duty, but Sony will be just fine if they lose Call of Duty. And Microsoft will be just fine if they keep releasing on the PlayStation. Like, I think this is a lot of yelling over nothing, honestly.
I think Sony has spent a lot of money on exclusivity deals, early access to DLC, to maps, to all that shit. Like, they spent a lot of money and a lot of time in building up their Call of Duty audience, that I think that this would just be a really shitty hurdle to have to jump over for them. But other than that, at the end of the day, whatever happens, and both will move on and be fine from it.
All right. That is going to bring us to the end of our topics. This is actually a fairly short show that I thought we were going to do. With the amount of topics we had, I thought we were going to go longer. So at this time, let's close out the show with some housekeeping. Steven, I'll let you start us off, sir.
Housekeeping? Jesus.
No.
You think I remember how to do housekeeping?
Did I say housekeeping? I'm sorry. I meant shout-outs.
Jesus. I was like, I guess you do have the phone number on here, so that at least works. Shout outs to all of the Dual Screens fam for showing up and having a good time tonight. Thank you so much for doing that. Shout out to Trophy Horse for having me on. It seems to be our like biannual thing that we do, which is fun. I appreciate that, of course. Yeah, and shout out to Alex and Tricky and the chat here. Thank you very much. Shout out to the big beautiful children and Extra Life. And shout out to all the people who didn't put razor blades in the apples and candy this year on Halloween. Shout out to you, man. Good job.
I didn't have enough time.
Okay. I have to ask this before I go to Alex's shout outs. Did any of you ever experience something like that in all of our years of being alive? Or is that just a scare tactic by the parents?
Of course not.
That was just a scare tactic by the parents, right? To steal our candy?
I don't know if it was by the parents, but I'm sure somebody said something to somebody and then the news ran with it, and that was it.
Unbelievable.
There's probably a greater chance of someone accidentally dropping some edibles, like accidentally switching edible, like gummy bears or something like that, for the Halloween candy and your kid getting a hold of some of those than there is somebody putting razor blades. Because like honestly, that may have happened at some point, and like finding
derail.
like what back in the 90s they found like what a nail in a Pepsi can or something like that. Like probably something
Mistakes happen,
a rare
man.
story. Yeah, a rare story that scares everybody. But no, I never experienced it. No one I knew experienced it, because if someone's going to do that, what's the benefit? Oh, you put a razor blade in somebody and they cut their mouth? Like, yeah, that fucking sucks. But what is the psychopath who does that? How do they benefit? I don't know. So kind of a more rare occurrence than a widespread thing.
Rick wants to know who the fuck is wasting drugs on kids.
Idiots, people who get way too drunk. I'm not calling Rick an idiot, but people who get drunk after a concert and they go home and like, oh man, I'm out of candy. I don't have
Wouldn't
any.
it be funny?
Target doesn't have. It's like their dogs alcohol or beer because they think it's funny. But no, Target goes out of candy. Costco goes out of candy. So I guess we got to give these kids something. Let's give their parents a fun night by giving them some of these edibles.
Yeah, Rick, he's calling you out, just so you know. He says, "Oh,
I am not calling Rick out. Rick is here to hear my voice. Rick, I'm not calling you out.
Well, Rick said in the chat, "Oi, you call King me out, Alex."
I would never. Actually, I'm going to call Tricky out because I think after last week's discussion that Tricky owes Caneless a freaking apology for his opinion on
something.
Perfect internet time, and I know he's going to go to. Steven, where do you fall on candy corn?
Oh, it's awful.
Thank you.
Awful. It just doesn't taste good at all. It just tastes like ouch.
We lost Alex, and I have to wait until he gets back
Tricky.
now for shout-outs.
You didn't hear me because I wasn't calling Rick out. I was calling you out.
You were calling me out for candy corn, correct?
No, I wasn't calling you out for candy corn. If you hate candy corn, I don't care. That's your thing. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to shame you for not liking candy corn. To be fair, as someone who will eat candy corn and like enjoys candy corn, I get it. I get why people don't like it. So no, you'll get no shade from me for that. You will, however, get me telling you that you owe Caneless an apology.
Why do I owe
Last
Caneless
week.
an apology?
Because you called Caneless that week saying that Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes was not a remake of the original
Oh
Metal
my
Gear Solid.
God.
And we learned from the Trophy Horse Facebook page this week, multiple people, in fact, everyone else, sided with Caneless and said you were
It's
wrong.
totally a remake.
Oh my
So-
god, I'm not going down this path with you guys.
Do you want to? You just no. There's no path. You just need to give Caneless an apology.
It's not a remake.
Listen,
Caneless-
when Caneless is in the chat next week, you could make your apology.
Caneless, on behalf of Tricky Mick, I make an apology because he's too proud to do it, to admit he was wrong.
Rick's in the chat saying, it fucking is. Chicky doesn't know what a port is. I'm not going down this path on this show. Alex, your shout out, sir.
Give a shout out to the listeners, the community, the fans, I think I said fans already, the community, the fuel to the fire of this trophy whores, the people that keep us going. Thank you all very much for joining us this week. We had some fans from the dual screens. Hopefully you all will, stick around and come back to future episodes. We got some good stuff planned for episode 550. Rick, always good to hear from you, as well as Felicia. Good to hear from both of you all. So give a shout out to the community. Want to give a shout out to Tricky as well as Yield, who could not be here tonight. But most importantly, a shout out to Steven. We don't get to podcast nearly as often as we used to. We used to every week, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm always glad to have you on, sir. Thank you for you're a busy man, so thank you for spending some time with us.
Maybe we can convince Steven to come back every week.
There's not a chance in hell I'd be coming back every week. I edited 5 podcasts before doing this show tonight.
Well, I put
Too much going on.
I put it into the chat because I was on vacation. I've done 5 guest appearances on podcasts this week, and then after that I did 1 more. So I was on a total of 7 podcasts last week.
Nice.
But see, that's the thing. You're not editing any one of those other ones. You just edited Trophy Horse. Steven actually edited 5 other podcasts, so it's completely different.
It's been busy. It's been a busy couple of weeks. It's been a busy year. We did a showcase, for God's sakes. It was crazy.
I got to point something out real quick, and I know this is not going to apply to anybody that's not seeing the Twitch chat, but Ninja put an emoji in the chat.
Ninja Tito.
Okay. Now, on the stream that's to my left, it's a green Sonic. On the chat program that's in front of me, which is the Streamlabs chatbot, it's a completely different emoji. So I don't know what the hell's going on right now.
Those are the best emojis.
Well, he put the same thing, but it's 2 different emojis. Anyway, thank you everybody for popping in. to the show. Thank you very much to Ninja, to Matt Murray, to Mikey Kirsch. I don't think Mikey Kirsch is in the chat anymore. So shout out to everybody that came over from Dual Screens. Thank you, Steven, for bringing those people over and introducing them to the wonderful world of Trophy Horrors. As Alex said, we hope to keep you guys around. That's why I bribed you with subs. I gifted everybody subs. Hope you guys stick around. Oh, that's a joke, by the way. Rick wants me to plug the Patreon. Yes, patreon.com/Prove It Gamer. We have our Patreon for $1 now. You can listen to our bonus shows. We just released 2 bonus shows last week on all the delays that were happening in 2022, so go check those out. We got more Patreon content coming. I'm going to try to get Steven on a couple of the Patreon contents because the one that we did, we had to shelf because we got some bad feedback for the first episode. Not your show, Steven.
Was that Tricky Thoughts?
That was the Tricky Thoughts. I released the first one. It got such bad feedback, I had to cancel the whole series. So your episode and Andy's episode never aired.
It's probably for the best.
It's probably for the best. Thank you, everybody that came out to the Twitch chat last night for the live stream. That's Felicia. That's Daryl. That's Joe Priestley. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people here right now.
I was lurking for a few hours.
Dupes came in. We did see Batchild in there for a while, although he doesn't talk. And then when you send him text messages and call him, he never answers his phone. So I don't know how we're still friends anymore.
I was busy, man.
You're busy.
That's why I was lurking.
Too busy to send back. Are you Igor? Yes.
Listen, man. Listen. Okay. A lot of things happening over here in my world. Okay.
I know your world. Okay. I see you're improving over there. Start setting up your little streaming room in there, trying to look professional.
Big. I mean, it's been a couple of years, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't mean my shout outs, but plug your Twitch channel, please.
Yeah, I stream twitch.tv/Batchild and record a couple of podcasts. Actually, right now we're only doing one show a week. We're doing Indies Nuts podcast on twitch.tv/Dual Screen Streams, DUEL Screens Streams. So if you want to go and follow over there, you can. You can watch us do a show every Thursday night, 9 p.m. That is all about the indie news, reviews, and previews. All indie games for about an hour. And if you don't mind, I would also like to just one more time plug the Dual Screens podcast, which you can find on our YouTube. You can find everything on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/DualScreensTV. But the Dual Screens podcast is also on any podcast service that you like, and that's an indie developer interview podcast. And we actually and we also interview voice actors, producers, all kinds of talent. And we actually just finished an interview with Maggie Robertson, who was the voice of Big Lady D in Resident Evil Village. So if you want to hear that and other kinds of stuff like that, we have a lot of horror games going up because we recorded so much stuff. We also did an indie game showcase called Another Indie Game Showcase. You can find that on our YouTube as well. A lot of really cool games. But if you like indie games or you want to play more games that people may not be getting or giving a platform to, check out our stuff. That's it.
Yeah, I was going to tell you to plug the showcase because that I have to give you guys credit for it. That looked like a lot of hard work went into everything that was done there, and I am really proud of you guys. Andy was on the show, I think, the weekend after that aired. So I haven't had the chance.
It aired on a Monday, and he was on, I think, that following Sunday, I think.
Yeah, so I want to give you a shout out because that was spectacular. You'd put a lot of hard work into that, and it paid off, and it was a very successful video from what I've seen. So I want to give you a shout out for that because that was impressive.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Again, everybody that was in the Twitch chat, thank you very much. Thank you to Sweet Mama D. Shout out to the goddess who took care of me yesterday while we're streaming. Again, everybody in the chat yesterday, thank you very much. I could not make it through the 25 hours without you guys. Appreciate it. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Shout out to Ashley. I love you, hon.
You forgot to shout her out?
You didn't let me.
I didn't do... Did I cut you off?
It was just a derailment.
I'm sorry, Alex. Finish your shout out.
I got it in there. I said shout out to her.
Okay.
You put it in there. We got it.
Sorry, Ashley. Do the outro screen right now, but I have to say, if you guys are not watching the Twitch stream and not watching the YouTube video, you guys are missing the show because Steven just rocked out with his cock out.
Whoa, easy. Terms of service.